the concept I like to develop is how to develop a research question by doing a literature search. I think the first order of business is that the students need to develop a research question, which will lead to the project that they want to work on. And what I'm saying is that I am assuming that the students are trying to search for their project, what they're going to work on. And the project, and I think one of your previous slides, you showed that one doesn't want to do a research project on a subject that's already been done. And that's one of the purposes of doing a literature search, to see what has been done. Essentially, you want to identify the research gap in order to develop the research question, and then you could assess that research question by doing the finer approach that I mentioned a few days ago. So let me just explain more what I mean. So let's say you have a research topic that you're interested in, but you haven't developed the research question yet, but you have a topic. So let's say, for example, the first step is you identify a few key words just from your head. So let's say I'm interested in a topic, genomic data. I'm interested in my major topic is data sharing. Well, let me put down something that's more generic, data sharing, and I'm interested in the research involving biobanks. So these are some of the I've established these keywords. So but they're not all the keywords. You want to search what type of literature has been written on these keywords. So if I now go, you see my PubMed. Does everyone see my PubMed?
Yes.
Okay.
I can
Yes,
see.
we can see that.
Okay, great. So let's say I start searching from PubMed, and Winhan showed you how you could search from the mesh terms. So I start searching from the PubMed, and I put in these search keywords. So now I search, and now I get this. I get 187 results, and I take a look of what has been written about those keywords, and I start looking at some of the articles, because now I want to search for more keywords. So now I look at biobanking and healthcare evolution, genomic data sharing. So let's say, so I have all these articles. So let's say I want to, this is, here we go. So now I say to myself, this looks like an interesting article. So now I click on that. And I look at this, and now I look at these keywords. Now I have additional keywords. And what I like to do is I like to, I like to keep an open Word document with this. Right, so here now I add these keywords to my list: oversight, governance, ethics committees, data sharing, data access committees. and I take a look at this and I say, well, are these interesting keywords? So let me go with governance. And now I go back to my search and I add and governance, and now I search again. And I see other keywords. I see a word like privacy. Let's say, well, let me go back to this original article that is still in my search. So I got keywords from here. Now from here, I could click on mesh terms. And now I see the mesh terms. So these are additional keywords. I have genomics, ethics, committee membership. Now, this asterisk means that this is a major topic. And I look at this and let me, now I want to go back and I want to, so I like this article. When I press on this, now I get similar articles, ethical concerns, including patients and family members. Well, maybe I'm interested in family members, and I take a look at the keywords here, human research protection, patients and family members, and I say to myself, maybe I like to investigate that. So now I put down, I didn't copy it. So I kind of like patients and family members. Now I go here and I add to my list patients and family members. But let's say I'm just interested in patients. So now I go back to my search. And I add, let me get back to my, so I had this. And now I do, and patients, and international framework for moving forward with global alliance and genomics. That seems like an interesting article, and I take a look at this, and I look at similar articles, sharing governance model for borderless. I look at this and I see now this article here, translational genomics in low and middle income countries, opportunities and challenges. I click on that. I see another keyword in the abstract, LMIC, and I say, well, that's an interesting search term. So now I go back, and now I add, well, I didn't like patients, but I like LMIC because I'm interested in low and middle income countries. So now I search that. I get these articles, look at this, and I look at other keywords now, and LMICS, governance. Let me now, since I'm interested in equity, let me now put down equity. Well, that didn't work. So why didn't that not work? Equity. We're all interested in equity. Let me do this again. Well, that's not a good word to use. So I'm going to have to think about, let me go back to my search term here. And so what other word could I use in addition to equity and the ethics? Well, maybe I need to put down ethics. See what I have here. And regulatory frameworks. That's another article. Well, let me see some search terms here. Developing countries, informed consent, humans, and I say, oh, well, maybe I want to put down developing countries, a call for global governance, and that might look good. And now I have more articles, ethical norms. So what I'm trying to say is that now I look at all these articles, a scoping review, benefit sharing and biobanking. Oh, well, that benefit sharing, that may be an interesting. And now I have a keyword, benefit sharing. So I add that to my list of keywords. And let's say I want to, let's say I want to add that keyword here. And benefit sharing, the revised Indian national ethical guidelines. And this is challenges to biobanking during COVID-19. And I take a look at that. And I see all these other articles. I guess what I'm trying to say is that from a few key words that I first started from, let me share my screen again. From a few key words, I added some more keywords, LMIC, biobanking, and I also, these are some other keywords that I've done in a previous search. And now the purpose of this is that you want to see what type of subjects, what type of studies have been done on your initial search, data sharing, biobanks, and now you're beginning to branch out and see what other people have done, and then you take a look at all those. You're starting out broad, and now you want to see the possibilities of what other people have done, and you take a look at it and you say, oh, that's an interesting topic. Maybe I'll do something like that. And now I start to fashion my question, well, my topic. And now I start searching for my topic, and I see what's been done, and I look at the papers. And so essentially now you want to search for the research gap. I have a topic that I've narrowed down with looking at keywords, And now I pick a more focused topic, and now I look at the literature to see what has been done, and I look at the articles, and I read what people have done. But also when I read these papers on what people have done, they tell me what in their limitation section, or in their conclusion, they say what needs to be done. And that's your gap. And that may enlighten you, that may interest you. And now you take your research question, which is developed from your research gap. There's been a few questions. EndNote license. Well, the short answer is no, because you could use Mendeley, which is free. Okay. For the development of list of keywords, I would like to know which is better. How to finalize the keywords before the literature review or at the same time? Okay, that's a good question. So I'm glad you asked that question. Before you do your literature review, what is your topic of your research project? That is, you start with a topic, you look at the keywords, you see what other people have done, and you say, oh, that's interesting. I like governance, or I like patience, or I like low and middle income countries. And you start to form, you specify more what your research topic will be. And now you look at some articles from your searching, and you see what people have done. And from reading just a few articles, you tend to develop, or you tend to identify what's the gap. What studies need to be done further? And I'll send out the forum. I posted a forum from my module about the research question concerning how to develop the gap. And I'll send out the post again. And I think it's a process in trying to develop your research question, which is based on the research gap. You don't want to do a project that asks a question that has already been asked and answered. So it's very important to determine what your research question is. So now once you identify what your research question is based on an identified gap, now you do the broader literature review based on your research question. And now you see a broader review of what people have done. So what I'm trying to say is that you want to develop your research question first. And so how do you do that? Well, let's say I'm interested in malaria, what Winhan started out with, and what topic am I interested in malaria? Well, Winhan put down treatment, and based on that search, you can now see what kind of articles have been produced, but now you identify other keywords because malaria and treatment is too broad. So you want to see what are the possibilities? What are people studying about malaria? And you may want to put down a keyword like low and middle income countries because you're interested in low and middle income countries, or you may want to further narrow it down and put down the keyword Southeast Asia, and then you look at what has come up in the search and you see other keywords, and these other keywords may be of interest of you. And now you take that keyword and put it in your search, and you keep on looking at, I guess it's a discovery process. You're trying to discover what topic you're really interested in. And one of the ways to do it is to do a literature search like what I just showed, so you could see all the possibilities and see what you're really interested in. By looking at other keywords, if that makes sense. So I know it may seem a little confusing because on one hand, you're doing, well, let me put it this way. You're doing a literature search to identify the research question. You want to see what people have written about and see what interests you. So you're doing a literature search with keywords to identify a research question. And now once you've developed a research question, now you do a literature review looking at all the papers that has been done on your research question. And you further narrow down what you want to do. So so the first step is, before you start doing an exhausting literature review, you have to know what topic you want to work on. And so my suggestion, and I'll start a forum with this so that everybody could present their ideas to everybody and see if they're on the right track. Before you do a literature review, so in the next few weeks, I want people to think about what topic interests you. And you take a few keywords, 2 or 3 keywords, you put that in the search. You're doing a literature search now to add additional keywords to a topic that is interesting to you. And this is a preliminary step to identify your research question. So I think a necessary first step is to develop your research question and have that discussed among all of us so you could get feedback. And I'm also suggesting that you start telling us your thoughts in a forum so we could all look at it and say, oh, that's an interesting topic. Let's start developing your research question. And again, your research question depends on the gap that you find in your literature search. Let me stop there.